Hello everyone, in this particular video we are going to discuss about the CA campus placements, that is how to prepare for CA campus placements and what ideally is expected in an interview and in a group discussion. Trust me, this is going to be one of the most useful videos on my YouTube channel and I hope you like this particular video. I am also going to discuss my personal experience at the end of the video so that you can analyze my mistakes and I want you to avoid these kind of mistakes in your campus placements. So let's watch this entire video. To begin with, I would like to start by stating the criteria of shortlisting a candidate. Usually, these are the criteria which the MNCs like HUL, Marico, BCG, McKinsey, Bain, Aditya Birla Group, these MNCs take these criteria and shortlist a candidate. The first one is that Big Four articleship is preferred. If you've done your articleship from a Big Four like Deloitte, KPMG, PwC or EY, your chances of getting shortlisted increases as compared to a candidate who has done his articleship from a mid-sized firm. However, if you've done your articleship from a mid-sized firm and your CV is exceptionally strong as compared to other candidates, say because of your extracurricular activities, then there are chances that your CV will also get shortlisted. The second criteria is the role of extracurricular activities in your life. So I would like to state that these companies are looking for a personality that is not only academically strong but also an all-rounder kind of personality. By an all-rounder, I would mean that he should be strong in academics, he should be strong in extracurricular activities. Like extracurricular activities may include presenting some papers in students conferences, anchoring in some students conferences or national conferences, participating or volunteering in some conferences, helping them organize the event, or just volunteering in any particular NGO, that is a social activity. These are some of the extracurricular activities that matter a lot, and these companies are very keen enough to hire a candidate who is not only academically strong but also a well-rounded personality. And the third criteria is that college is preferred over correspondence. Many of the students were asking me that whether they should do their BCom external or they should opt for IGNOU. I would say that instead of going for external BCom, if you can do your BCom from a college, that would be better. This is my personal experience and I regret that I did not do college BCom. I did it externally and I was not shortlisted by 2-3 MNCs because of this criteria, because their criteria was that college BCom should be done. So their thinking would be that if you have done your BCom from a college, it means that you would have participated in some college activities and you would have done some leadership role in your college days. So that is the thinking and that is the reason they prefer some college student as compared to a student who has done his BCom externally. So this is the third criteria of shortlisting. This is my personal experience and this is my opinion. Now let's talk about how to build a strong resume. This is indeed very important in order to get shortlisted, because companies like HUL, BCG, McKinsey, these are the companies which just shortlist a candidate based on their CV. Now these companies receive a lot of CVs, okay, so they are not going to read each and every word which you've written in your CV. Rather, they don't even read each and every CV. What they do, they just find the keywords which are there in your CV and they check whether the keywords which are there in their hiring system, whether they matches with the CV keywords. So first of all, try to use numbers as many times as possible. For instance, if you are in the Department of Assessment and Litigation of Taxation, you can write the amount of tax you have saved for your client. You can write that you have saved rupees 2 crores or rupees 10 crores for your client. Or if you are doing an audit of a multinational company which has its operations across the globe, so you can write the turnover in dollar billion or dollar million as the case may be. So try to include numbers as many times as possible. Next, try to highlight your achievements in your elevator pitch. This is very important. In your elevator pitch, you should always state your highlights. Okay, you should always state your achievements and you should highlight them. By elevator pitch, what I mean is that, say, let's take an example that you are going in an elevator with a CEO of a multinational company where you want to pursue a job in the future. Let's say you get this opportunity, you only have 30 seconds with you. In these 30 seconds, you have to state to the CEO your qualities so that he is impressed by you and he is ready to hire a candidate like you. So that is an elevator pitch. Therefore, in order to build your resume stronger, you have to highlight the achievements in your resume as well as in the elevator pitch which you are going to state to the interviewer. Next advice which I would like to give to most of the candidates is that avoid writing skills and interests. See, if you write the skills, like I had written my skills, like I'm good in MS Office, like MS Word, Excel, PowerPoint. I'm good in financial modeling. I had written these skills, but trust me, these companies don't want these skills. Almost all the skills which I had written, they are normal only. If in case you have some exceptionally very good skill, so you can write that particular skill. Otherwise, it is not needed at all. Also, avoid writing using interest. Avoid writing the interest, because what happens is that if you're writing interest, that is not going to be of use to the interviewer in terms of shortlisting a candidate. They are not interested, like they are not interested to know what are you interested in. Rather, they are interested to know about your achievements, about your past life, and what leadership roles you have played in order to shortlist a particular candidate. Always you can state your interest or skills in the interview. So while you are going for an interview, you can always state the skills and interests which you have. Now let's talk about what is ideally expected in a personal interview and in a group discussion. The first and foremost advice which I would like to give all of you is that always remain confident, calm and logical. You don't have to be panicked at all. You don't have to take any kind of stress, any kind of tension or any kind of nervousness. If you are nervous, tensed or panic, this shows that you can't handle a large organization. So any organization would need a candidate who is confident, who is very calm and who speaks logically. Next advice which I would like to give all of you is that always remain honest no matter what happens. If you don't know an answer to a particular question, then it is absolutely alright to state that you don't know the answer instead of telling a wrong answer. If you tell a wrong answer, they'll think that this particular person is a liar, like he doesn't know the answer and he's just bluffing. So he is not good for my organization. So never state a wrong answer and always tell that you don't know the answer if you're not sure of the answer. Because see, this is the truth that everyone in the world doesn't know each and everything. Even you know something that the interviewer doesn't know, and the interviewer knows many things that you wouldn't know. So it is absolutely alright that you don't know an answer to a particular question. So it's better that you say you don't know the answer all of a sudden, like to the straightforward, instead of telling a wrong answer. Next, now I'll just like to give tips about the group discussion. So group discussion happens usually between 8 to 10 people. So try to interject very politely and in a humble manner. Interjection means that if one particular person has finished off his speaking, then you have to interject and you have to start speaking. What ideally happens in a group discussion is that after one person finishes off with his speech, there are 3 to 4 candidates who want to speak, and this is the time where you have to show that you are going to be the leader amongst the group. How will you show this? You have to interject politely in a humble manner, and you have to state everyone that let me speak. Once I finish speaking, then maybe you can take over your turn. So in a group discussion, a lot of fights are going to happen and a lot of arguments are going to happen. You have to ensure that you don't turn the group discussion into a debate. There's a huge difference between a group discussion and a debate, mainly that a group discussion is not an argument. It is a discussion on a general topic. What are the views of the group? However, debate is an argument. You have to, either you are for the topic or you are against the topic. So debate is completely different from a group discussion, and ensure that you don't turn out group discussion into a debate. What are the type of skills which are tested in a group discussion? The first and the foremost is the leadership skills. Whether you fit in that group and whether you are able to lead that particular group of 8 to 10 people. The next are the interjection skills. How effectively are you trying to communicate, and how effectively are you trying to convince the rest of the audience to make sure that your point is logical and in the conclusion your point is acceptable. And the last skill which is tested is the communication skills, which is obviously tested in an interview also. How effectively you communicate in a group of 8 to 10 people, and whether you speak logically. Your content also matters a lot. These are some of the strategies which you should ideally keep in a group discussion. Next advice which I would like to give in an interview is that listen carefully to what interviewer says. You know, at the end of the interviewer would ask you, do you have any questions for me? So at that particular time, you have to ask some questions. So you can ask some questions based on the introduction which the interviewer has given of himself, his background and his role in that company. Or you can also ask some questions which you would have already prepared before going for the interview. Let's take an instance. Whenever I used to give an interview in any company, I used to ask these questions definitely to the interviewers. The first one was, how are the growth prospects in your company? So how are the growth prospects of an individual if he's about to join your organization? The next question was that what are some of the skills or qualities which you expect in a successful candidate, so that I can analyze whether I am a fit for this particular company or not. And the third question which I used to ask was that how does a typical week look like to work in your company? Okay, so these are the 3 questions which I had in my mind. In every company where I had gone, I used to ask 2 or 3 questions out of these 3 questions, and trust me, the interviewers would be completely impressed if you ask some questions, because that shows that you are interested in pursuing a job in that company. So this is important. At the start of your interview, it is very important that you give a 60 seconds introduction, a 60 to 90 seconds of your introduction. The first question in most of the companies would be, tell me something about yourself. Now the answer to this particular question should be your achievements and the elevator pitch which you have already prepared. The elevator pitch would be of 30, 60 or 90 seconds depending upon the number of achievements which you want to highlight. So remember that at the start of the interview, try to highlight all your achievements and make sure that the interviewer is impressed at the outset itself. Remember, in the previous videos I have told you that you should impress the examiner in your examination while writing the answer sheet. The same logic applies over here. You should impress the interviewer initially itself so that he is engaged in listening to you till the end of the interview. The next advice which I would like to give is that always maintain an eye contact with all the interviewers. Okay, so if there are 3 interviewers, say 1, 2 and 3 sitting in front of you, while answering any question, you don't have to answer to only that interviewer who has asked you that question. Rather, you have to answer this particular question's answer to all the interviewers. What happens usually is that one particular interviewer asks you the questions, and the second or third interviewer is the one who is completely judging you. So make sure that you maintain an eye contact with all the 3 interviewers who are in front of you, and not only to the interviewer who is asking you the question. And as stated that you have to ask 1 or 2 or 3 questions at the end of your interview, when the interviewer is going to ask you, do you have any questions for me, so that it shows that you are interested in pursuing a job in that company. Now, as I promised that we'll discuss my personal experience, so let's discuss my personal experience of special campus placement. So for those of you who would have watched Neeraj Arora sir's video of my special campus placement journey, it'll be kind of repetition for them, but for those of you who haven't watched, I'll just quickly summarize my special campus placement experience. So in the ICI special campus placement, I was shortlisted by 10 companies, out of which I had given consent for 4 companies. The 4 companies were Deutsche Bank, ITC, Bajaj Auto Limited and Flipkart. I interviewed for Deutsche Bank first. In Deutsche Bank's interview, in the group discussion, we were a group of 10 people. We were asked a topic of impact of GST on the Indian economy. Out of these 10 people, I think 3 were shortlisted for the group interview. Then we had a group interview. Out of those 3, 1 was shortlisted for a personal interview, and out of that personal interview, it was dependent on the interviewer whether to hire that candidate or not. Unfortunately, I was rejected in the group interview round because I was asked questions based on current affairs. That was a current affairs round totally. So these were some of the questions which were asked to me in the group interview. Namely, what is the current account deficit as a percentage of India's GDP? What is the fiscal deficit of India? Then why was PMC Cooperative Bank fraud happened, and who were the defaulters in that particular fraud? Since I was interviewing in a banking industry, it was expected that I was going to be asked questions based on banking industry fraud. So I was not prepared enough, and I did not prepare on some frauds, and because of this particular thing, I was rejected by Deutsche Bank. So these were some of the questions which I was not able to answer, and therefore I had to face a rejection in Deutsche Bank. Next, I gave an interview of ITC Limited. In ITC Limited also, there was a group discussion initially of 9 to 10 people. Out of 10 people, 4 were selected, and out of those 4, 1 was selected finally in the personal interview. So out of these 10, 4 were selected for personal interview. The topics in group discussion were purely unconventional. I'll just give you a few examples of the topics we were given in ITC group discussion. So the group discussion contained several topics like there was a case study group discussion. So there were topics like who is the murderer in this particular case scenario. So there's a pilot and there are 7 people's name, and you have to identify who is the murderer, and the murder has happened in the plane. So this is purely an unconventional case study. What they are trying to test is that whether you are able to read that case study in a span of 5 minutes, and whether you are able to articulate your thoughts in a span of 15 to 20 minutes, wherein you are going to discuss about the topic. Then one particular topic was that there were 7 patients' name given, and there were 7 people's name given, and we had to identify who was the most responsible person for the death of a patient. So 7 people's name like doctor, then nurse, then the employees of the hospital, then the lawmakers. So there were 7 names given to us, and we had to identify which is the most responsible person for the patient's death. So these were the topics in ITC Limited's group discussion. And as I told you, the following skills are being tested in any group discussion, mainly the communication skills, leadership skills and the interjection skills. After this, I had an interview for 45 minutes in ITC Limited. So there were 3 interviewers which I was facing. Questions purely based on technical topics were asked in this particular interview. So I'll just briefly tell you what were the type of questions which were asked to me in the personal interview of ITC Limited. So these were the questions, namely, what is the impact of Ind AS 116 on the financials of listed entities? Then why was there a need of bringing Ind AS 116? What is the difference between Ind AS 115 and the previous Ind AS, that is 11 and 18? These were Ind AS based questions. Next, I had also faced some Companies Act questions, like what was the need of bringing the internal financial controls reporting in the section of Companies Act 2013. Then I was faced questions based on GST, as I had presented papers on GST in some students' conferences. So they had given me a High Court judgment of their own company which was going on in the High Court, and they had asked me to opine that what do you think, according to you, what should be the judgment if you would have been the judge. And trust me, they are going to test your patience throughout the interview, so you don't have to panic and you don't have to lose your confidence. In the middle of the interview, they are going to say that let me tell you you are wrong, or let me tell you that we don't agree with you. At that point of time, remember, you don't have to change your stand and you have to stay confident with your own stand so that they feel that you are a confident person. And lastly, I was asked questions based on transfer pricing and international and domestic transfer pricing, namely what are few of the transactions covered in the domestic transfer pricing, and they had given me a case wherein I had to analyze whether this transaction is covered under the ambit of transfer pricing or not. So this was a detailed interview in ITC Limited. I was fortunate enough to get selected in ITC Limited. However, I did not accept that offer and I moved on to the next interview, that was off-campus placement in Aditya Birla Group. In Aditya Birla Group, we were given an online assessment test. It was purely a CAT-based examination like question. So there were questions based on logical reasoning, inductive and deductive reasoning. So if you remember that in CAT exams or in your 10th or 12th international Olympiad exams also, we were given questions like there are 4 images and you have to identify what is the 5th image. So these were the type of questions in the online assessment test. I think all the rank holders had applied in this particular online assessment test. Out of all the rank holders, they selected the top 30. I was very fortunate enough to come under top 30 because there was one dropout and I was not in the top 30. I was waitlisted. So I was 31st candidate, and fortunately there was one dropout and I could come in the top 30 to face the personal interview. In the personal interview, we were given a case study half an hour ago and we had to analyze what are our recommendations based on the case study presented. So the case study was that a public company wants to privatize, state whether you would recommend it to privatize or not. It was a long 12 pages case study. We only had half an hour to read the case study and jot down our points. So for the initial 30 minutes of my interview, we were discussing on the case study, and for the remaining 25 minutes, it was a technical plus current affairs round of an interview. In technical questions, I was asked questions based on the topics like what is the FCFE and FCFF approach? Then what is the difference between cost of equity and the cost of reserves and surplus? What is the capital asset pricing model? Then I was asked questions based on some technical topics of income tax, like the dividend distribution tax, which has been abolished. Then in the current affairs, I was asked questions based on the COVID impact, so COVID-19 impact. So they had asked me questions based on what is the impact of COVID-19 on Aditya Birla Group. So they had asked me my recommendations and my opinions about the industry which is going on, and they had also asked about some Yes Bank crisis which was going on in March 2020. So this was a detailed interview of my Aditya Birla Group, and I was again fortunate enough to come selected to the top 5. I was in the top 5 who was selected in the Aditya Birla Group interview, and I accepted their offer. This was my personal opinion that I wanted a finance profile. Therefore, I rejected ITC's offer and I accepted Aditya Birla Group's offer. So this was my detailed interview experience of Aditya Birla Group, ITC Limited and Deutsche Bank, wherein I have faced rejection from Deutsche Bank and I was selected by ITC and Aditya Birla Group. So I hope this particular video was useful for all of you. If you do like this particular video, share it with all your friends who are going to prepare for campus placements or articleship interviews, so that they can prepare and they would ideally know that they have to prepare for technical topics as well as the current affairs topic. One last advice which I would like to give all of you is that read newspaper daily. Okay, you have to read the newspaper daily. You have to read Economic Times or the Financial Times or the Business Standards. You have to read the business magazines, also the Business Forbes, so that you are aware with what is going on in the industry and in the environment. Try to listen to the BBC News daily for 15 minutes. That is definitely going to improve your communication skills, as well as you would stay updated with the current affairs. So these are some of the tips which I would like to give before ending this particular video. I hope you find this video useful. Do share it with all your friends and subscribe to the channel so that I can make more useful videos for all of you. Also, one more thing which I would like to add is that there were few comments in the previous videos who were asking me to sing a rap song. They had heard it in the national conference or in Neeraj sir's video. So I am going to upload a rap song soon. In the next video I would upload a rap song. It is named as लगता है सीए में आके गलती कर दी. ओके, सो वो एक लव डोज करके गाना है हनी सिंह का, उसके ट्यून पे बेस्ड है. सो पहले ही मैं बता दूँ, डिस्क्लेमर यही वीडियो में दे दूँ कि नो ऑफेंस टू एनी वन, ऑफकोर्स इट इज़ प्योरली फॉर फन पर्पस. वो सिर्फ एन्जॉय पर्पस के लिए, अगर आपको बोर हो जाए तो वो वीडियो देख लेना, थोड़ा रिफ्रेशमेंट हो जाएगा. तो उसमें आई हैव जस्ट कवर्ड कि लगता है सीए में आके गलती कर दी, मुझे क्यों लगता था कि सीए में आके गलती कर दी. दैट इज़ प्योरली फॉर फन पर्पस एंड देयर इज़ नो ऑफेंस टू एनी वन. सो डिस्क्लेमर मैं यही वीडियो में देना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि नेक्स्ट वीडियो में रैप सॉन्ग अपलोड करूँगा. So thank you so much for watching this entire video. I hope you find this video useful. See you in the next video.